Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're at, ladies and gents. I am Kura Isagami, your resident Tinkerer and Medarotter, and this is the Medarot News Network, bringing you all the latest developments and happenings with our favorite pet fighting robot series. Now this week it looks like the festivities for the holiday season are finally starting to pick up just a little bit in terms of new content or things to keep things fresh and going, despite having a very busy month of November amping up towards Medarot Day. With this week in particular, we are specializing in highlighting kind of a rerun and kind of a rerun, but also not a revisit would be the better term, of the old manga collaboration we had with the Medarot Reloaded manga back about a year or so ago when it was first really highlighted, with the introduction, of course, of Yak Spider and Tornado Beetle as the big gacha bot and event reward. This week in particular, highlighting the rerun of that event with new models, new rewards, and much more, we are highlighting a new model, a Fallen Angel type, as you see here, known as Old Superbia. That being said, let's go ahead and jump right into what was announced for this week, starting of course with the gacha banners. Of course, as I mentioned, the brand new model coming this week is the new Fallen Angel type LCF0 Old Superbia, with the kit of Bug, Confusion, Blow Away, Biped legs, and the Haja leg ability, which for those not really aware, since we don't see this leg ability very often, is basically stat cleanse for self when charging Metaforce. So handy on its own, but selectively useful compared to other abilities that might be handy all the same. Now with the reruns in particular, we are having a lot of Reloaded-centric models that made a lot of highlights or big places in the Reloaded manga in particular. One of which, of course, includes the iconic Huntsman Spider type SPI-05 Yak Spider with a kit of Deathlock, Double Power Hammer, Multi-Ped legs, and the Weapon Master leg ability, which we got the first time this event first came around, about a year or so ago, like I mentioned. We also are seeing a rerun of the ever lovely and ever popular Diamond type DND0 Hardness 10 with the kit of Hyper Missile, Power Rifle, Mega Gatling, Biped legs, and the Brilliance leg ability. Now just between these three models alone, it's very obvious to see that Old Superbia doesn't bring a whole lot new to the table that we don't already have in one way or another. But in particular, because we do have an event incoming, it will be worth collecting him just for the sake of parts more than anything else, and to maximize on reward bonuses. But all the same, Yak Spider and Hardness 10, in my personal opinion, are going to be the two really big ones to focus on more so. Hardness 10 primarily for mono female teams or female teams in need of nuking parts. Yak Spider, of course, for Deathlock and Power Hammer, and then Old Superbia, of course, just for ticket bonuses once that event does come live. Now, in addition to these three models here, the new one and the two reruns, we also have two other reruns that were highlighted to join us for this coming week. And that is the ever iconic DBL01 Belzelga with the kit of Restore, Double Sacrifice melee variant, Biped legs, and the Carrier leg ability. And then another model that a lot of people who played the older games will know very, very well for its rather dangerous kit if handled incorrectly, and that is MED0 Stone Mirror, the Medusa type, with a kit of Triple Destroy, all shooting variant, Biped legs, and the Mascot leg ability. Now, in addition to these banners, we do also have highlighted spotlights for Metabi and Rokusho, so even though you definitely don't want to push for those as heavily compared to the other gacha banners, it is worth noting that they both have tune-up treatments available, so when you do collect the parts, or if you do already have them, this will be a really good opportunity to pick up on some extra tune-up points needed in order to finish capping out those upgrades needed on those parts. That being said, as I mentioned, I would definitely highlight Yak Spider and Hardness 10 as the two really big ones this week in terms of the gacha banners, with Old Superbia right next to them, or just barely under them in my honest opinion, just for the sake of the ticket bonuses more than anything else. With the Fierce battles we have this week, it's going to be a little lower key and kind of not as centric to the Reloaded manga. Spearheading the Fierce battles this week, we see JOK0 Shoepord with a kit of Heater, Beam, Power Rifle, Biped legs, and the Aim leg ability. Behind him, we see a rerun of MOL0 Horny Devil, the Horned Lizard type, with a kit of Fire Shot, Double Missile, Wheeled legs, and the Desert type leg ability. And then a model we have not seen in quite some time, in my honest opinion, in the Fierce battles. And I'm honestly surprised they brought him back a few weeks after I had already covered him for some free time. And that is Ep.2 Bonecracker, the Epicleon type, with the kit of Heel Trap, Double Sword, Float Legs, and the Straight Leg ability. Now, all three models here, much like the Gotcha Banish with their versatility, all have very good parts that can be used one way or another for incredible versatility and conventional power. Shootboard, for instance, has probably one of the best free power rifles that you can collect and farm, which means this is a part that anyone can get a hold of very easily, and they can also raise it just as easily up to a certain point. So even in early game, you have a very strong part to carry you through a lot of the relatively harder content, early on rather anyway, until you can get a hold of some good parts to raise higher up than that. Horny Devil in particular may not have a lot to bring to the table, but his legs are absolutely where it's at. Wheeled legs will have very high natural mobility, but they also are the pickiest when it comes to terrain compatibility. Desert type takes that and says, hold on a second, here you go. Because now you can use the high-speed wheeled legs in a very bad terrain that almost all legs except flight legs have mastery in, which will give that particular bot an extra edge and keep the anti-air weakness off of them. Bonecracker in particular specializes in basic and conventional sword skills, which goes without saying, you really can use them anywhere with no major drawback or weakness, and they're very versatile skills you can use just about anywhere. So that being said, even though all three models are very good to use, I would honestly have to highlight the MVPs of the week being both Shootboard and Horny Devil, primarily for Shootboard's left arm, the power rifle, and Horny Devil's legs, the wheeled legs, for varying reasons as mentioned. Bonecracker also is very good, but in terms of the other two, definitely falls short just a little bit in terms of where you can use and how easily you can use them. But all the same, it's still worth collecting the parts just for the sake of having them in your library just in case you need them. Now, this in particular has actually started already as kind of a teaser and headliner going into the event, and that is the fact that we have two brand new Medarotters that are being added to the permanent Medarotter pool, and that is super rare versions of Kagami and Katsuma, which are both protagonists of the Medarot Reloaded manga. This time around, in addition to higher bonuses, the SR Kagami offers a nullification of all negative ailments while in cooldown, while also further reducing damage by 20%. At the cost that it also lowers movement speed by about 30%. So that means even if you are going to run notably slower on your way back to the starting point on your cooldown, you will be taking also notably less damage, and you will be immune to status ailments during that cooldown period, which will kind of comp it back just a little bit and make using more dangerous nuke skills a little easier to maintain and hold, as long as there isn't anyone that inflicted you with, say, no dodge or deathlock. Medarotter Katsuma, on the other hand, offers a bonus of power and heat by 75%, and in addition to this also offers a success bonus of up to 50% with the same activation. Both of these, of course, come at the cost that your cooldown will be debuffed for that one turn by 60%. So this means that in particular, you will absolutely hit like a truck going 80 on the interstate. But of course, after using your turn, you will be running back about a little less than half your speed than what you were before usually. Luckily, of course, it is worth noting that these Medarotter skills usually only last one turn, so not really anything you'd have to worry about in particular, but it is something that you want to pay attention to if you plan to activate this skill and make good use of it. Now, with the event itself, this one actually comes with a lot of gifts and still keeps on giving even more, which highlights the rerun part of this event. And that is the fact that in this event in particular, we can earn rewards such as SMK0 Shaman Miko as the event reward, the Elephant Medal with a power nature, and the rare version of Medarotter Kagami, in case anyone has not got it already. Or, for those that have never played this event before, or for new players, in addition to these three rewards mentioned, you can also earn the previous event's rewards on top of that. This includes the ever iconic and highly sought after Pt.2 Tornado Beetle, the one-man Metaforce army, and has been incredibly wonderful for that ever since. You can also earn the Spider Medal with a Hunter Nature Medal and the normal version of Medarot Kagami. So this is going to be an event that is going to keep on giving not just to veterans but also to new players. So it is highly encouraged that you take the moment to definitely farm this event where possible so you can maximize the amount of rewards you can obtain. Now, in terms of how this event will play, this event in particular is ticket-based, which means mixed parts are encouraged. So this means in particular, say with the red bonuses, the highlighted bots of Belzelga, Stone Mirror, and Metabi in particular will give a +3 bonus per part equipped across the team. This means that if you use full set Metabi as is, you will only gain a maximum of +3 of those additional red tickets across the team. Whereas if you spread his parts, say head and legs on bot 1, right arm on bot 2, left arm on bot 3, you can spread your bonuses and maximize it. So instead of a solid +3, you'll instead get a +9 additional red ticket rewards upon completion of a round. In terms of that, for +2 bonuses for red, Shaman Miko, the event reward, will of course give you a +2, and Shupor will give you a +1 as the fierce battle. For the blue tickets, Hardness 10 and Rokusho are highlighting that particular color and movement, with lower bonuses being Torito Beetle with the +2, and Horny Devil and Bone Cracker being the +1 bonuses and fierce battles. Now, with the gold and silver ticket bonuses, this is why I said earlier that even though Old Superbia isn't necessarily powerful or brings anything nasty to the table, it is still worth collecting him for the sake of getting that bonus, which is the +3 to the golden ticket output that you can earn on participating levels. For the silver bonus, it can be Yak Spider, also at +3. Again, it is highly encouraged that you spread the parts evenly across the team to maximize the bonuses, and this applies not just to parts, but also to Medarotters. So just be sure that you can maximize those bonuses and build a team that can definitely get you the highest bonus possible once you go in and start completing rounds and continually farm them. Now on the community front, we are still always looking for translators for the Medarot 3 and the Medarot Reloaded manga translation projects. Speak of the devil. For the Medarot 3 translation, everything up to Chapter 1 in the Kabuto version has been officially translated into English. So for more or less, say, a working demo, I suppose you could call it, it is officially available and running. But we still do need a lot of help and a lot of translators so we can finish the rest of the game and move on to other titles such as Medarot 4 and 5 and Navi, which are very highly sought after and requested titles that we'd like to see done, but we need the manpower to do it. For the Medarot Reloaded manga, of course, we are still in need of cleaners and translators in particular. There are a lot of chapters that need translated, but unfortunately we've not had the ability or time to do so yet. So if you'd like to help with either of these projects or know someone who would, you're more than welcome to reach on out to me or join us in our communities and just ask around, and someone will be sure to let someone know and get you and forward you to the right person to fill you in on what has been done, everything that needs done up to date. But with all that being said, I believe that covers just about... Oh, no, I'm sorry, just yet. Before I forget, let's also highlight the weekly art highlights here on the MNN, starting with this piece here by Twitter user Omitsu at Omitsu Draws, highlighting their custom variant model of Omega Zero, complete with color and beam sword. Very wonderful sketch there that you've been working on, my friend. I am looking forward to seeing the final result if you are still working on it. And do also check out this piece here by Twitter user Teria Menso, who highlighted a rather obscure crayfish type of the same series that Rollstar comes from, and that is the direct upgrade of Rollstar, Hopping Star. So just a little bit different overall, even if he does perform relatively similarly. Wonderful art to the both of you, congratulations, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from both of you, as well as further artists that do tune in on my channel. But with all that being said, for real this time, this is officially everything that has been covered in this week's highlights. So once again, and as always, thank you so much for stopping by, just as you always do. If you'd like to know more, you can follow us below on Facebook at the Medarot News Network page and the Metabots Forever community there, which at last check is about 1.7k strong in terms of its member number, which means we are gathering Medarotters all over the globe by the day, and it's honestly amazing to see that community continue to grow. Now, of course, there are definitely shared members between that and the Discord, which is the next link provided here and in the comments below. But all the same, it is wonderful to see our community come together and unite and show the world just how much these small fighting robots mean to us. You can also join us on Discord, as mentioned, with the link provided and in the comments below, and this is arguably the best place you'll be able to hear anything about Medarot Related firsthand. This includes any merchandise, game updates, translations, fan art, or whatever. That's the first place you will hear it before it goes anywhere else. So if you want to keep a closer ear to the ground, the Discord server with Project Rising Beetle is definitely the way to go. You can also reach out to me personally on Twitter at isagamikura, so if you have any questions, feedback, comments, suggestions, or whatever, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. My DMs are kept open for this very reason, so feel free to stop on in, say hello, don't be a stranger, and I'll definitely try to get back to you whenever I can. I would love to try to connect more with the community, not just here on the Medarotter front, but also with other fellow VTubers. Again, that can be Medarot related or not, and try to coordinate even some party games or group games sometime. So if you do know someone who's looking for a group to play with or an extra person, feel free to pass them along to me and let them know, and I'd love to try to get in touch with them. Do also give these wonderful friends of mine a follow as well, speaking of fellow friends, starting of course with Twitter user Miko Zeta, a fellow VTuber friend of mine, who does a pretty fair number of Medarot content as well, focusing on the older games and kind of running through the history of those. And do also give my buddy Lux here at Medarotter Lux a follow, who actually does a lot of stuff more on the back end, kind of with reviewing, similar to what I do to a point. But he kind of takes a lot of the numbers that he notices and observes through game activity and such with Medarot S, and kind of gives his honest thoughts about it, or even highlights something he thinks could be done better or fixed. So definitely give him a follow as well if you'd like to keep up to date on that and see how he feels as events come and go. Because he does bring up a lot of fantastic points that to be considered in order to preserve the game and keep it going as events and bots go live going forward. But with all that being said, once again, I do appreciate you all for stopping by just as you always do. Until next time, this is your host, Kura Isagami of the Medarot News Network, signing out.